Now that Jake Gyllenhaal is in an MCU film, that means the three main actors in the David Fincher film Zodiac are all MCU actors: Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo. All of them are MCU actors right now. Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home is the sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming and is now the 23rd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like Homecoming, this is directed by Jon Watts, and this film stars Tom Holland, Jake Gyllenhaal, Zendaya, and Samuel L. Jackson. The plot this time is that this film follows the events of Avengers Endgame. Peter Parker / Spider-Man, again played by Tom Holland, goes on a summer trip to Europe with his friends. During his vacation, Nick Fury, as always played by Samuel L. Jackson, recruits him on a mission to stop these creatures known as the Elementals. Along with the help of an expert on them, Quinn Beck / Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, I was really excited for Spider-Man Far From Home. This has been one of my most anticipated movies of the year and summer. Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes, and I've been loving what Tom Holland has been doing with this character. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought it was a different way of a Spider-Man origin story without retelling the origin story and doing something different with it, making it a coming-of-age film, which I really liked. And I thought Tom Holland was fantastic as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, along with Michael Keaton being great as the Vulture. And I really enjoyed this movie. It was funny and entertaining. I was looking forward to seeing a sequel to this movie and where they would take this character and where the MCU would go after Endgame, since this is the first MCU film right after Avengers Endgame. And this is also the end of Phase 3 for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've been excited for this movie, and I saw this movie, and I had a blast with this movie. This was such an entertaining film. I don't think it's the best Spider-Man movie, but I'll say it's one of the best Spider-Man movies. I definitely think it's up there with Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse. It's that good. I had a great time with Spider-Man Far From Home. This was a blast. First, Tom Holland continues to be fantastic as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Still got the humor, charms, awkwardness. I really like how this film deals with his personal life while also dealing with his superhero life and trying to balance both of them. On his vacation, he wants to have a good time with his friends and also trying to impress MJ, which he is starting to have feelings for. But after the events of Avengers Endgame and people are starting to wonder who the next Iron Man is, and people are starting to think that Spider-Man could be the next Iron Man, so there's some pressure on that. And I really liked how the film dealt with that, and Tom Holland just continues to be terrific in the role. He is my favorite, both Peter Parker and Spider-Man to date. I can't imagine anyone else playing Spider-Man in the MCU right now other than him. Tom Holland is amazing as Spider-Man. As always, Samuel L. Jackson is great as Nick Fury, Marissa Tomei is good as Aunt May, Jon Favreau is good as Happy Hogan, and I like that Zendaya as MJ gets a lot more to do this time, and starting to bit of a romance with her, and Peter is trying to impress her, and I really liked how that relationship was done and how it was handled. But by far, the standout of the supporting cast and the one who stole the show, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. He is amazing as Mysterio. I was really excited to see Jake Gyllenhaal, one of my favorite actors in an MCU film, and I was not disappointed in the slightest. I really loved how he made Mysterio such a complex, mysterious, and compelling character, and Jake Gyllenhaal, really happy to see him in an MCU movie as well as a Spider-Man movie. He did such a fantastic job as Mysterio. And a fun fact about Jake Gyllenhaal and Spider-Man, he was originally going to replace Tobey Maguire for Spider-Man 2 because Tobey Maguire had a back injury while he was filming the movie Seabiscuit, and Jake Gyllenhaal would have been the one to replace Tobey Maguire if he didn't return to set. And I'm really glad that Jake Gyllenhaal was given another chance in the Spider-Man movie. And Jake Gyllenhaal was absolutely fantastic in this movie. Loved his performance in this movie. Loved his chemistry with Peter Parker whenever they shared a scene together. And every scene he showed up, I was really excited to see him. Jake Gyllenhaal, fantastic in this movie. And Jon Watts did a good job directing this film. Along with the action scenes, I feel like he's more confident directing action scenes and making them more exciting and intense. Especially my favorite action scenes in the movie involving the sequences with the Elementals. Really enjoyed those scenes. What I really liked about this movie was this was a very good continuation after Endgame, exploring what Peter Parker is going through after Endgame, and how the events of both Infinity War and Endgame have impacted the world. Really liked how the film continued the story very well, while also being a very entertaining movie that stood out well on its own. As for issues or nitpicks, if I could just try to find one, just try to like reach for flaws, if I could try to find maybe one, is that maybe some of the attempts at humor just didn't quite land. Maybe a few attempts at humor just didn't quite land and didn't quite have me laughing or giggling. But overall, I had a blast with Spider-Man Far From Home, and I could say it is now in my top 10 favorite MCU films right now, and I gotta say, I enjoyed this film more than Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal are fantastic in this movie. It's funny, it's entertaining, it continued the MCU very well after Endgame. This was like a nice, fun movie to see after some of the depressing moments in Endgame. This was a nice change of pace. And also, please stay for the mid-credit scenes. Do not get up when this movie ends. Just please stay for the mid-credit scenes. This was my reaction during the mid-credit scene. Oh my god! And I could say it is one of my favorite Spider-Man films right now, and one of my top 10 favorite films in the MCU right now. And overall, I am going to give Spider-Man Far From Home 4.5 stars out of 5. I had such a blast with this movie, one of my favorite films of the summer and year so far right now. Such an entertaining movie that left me very satisfied, had a huge smile on my face when this movie ended. Really want to see this movie again. Really had a good time with this movie. Definitely check out Spider-Man Far From Home. If you're both an MCU fan and a Spider-Man fan, definitely go out and see this movie. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Far From Home. So what do you guys think of Spider-Man Far From Home? Do you agree? Disagree with me? Let me know below. Make sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you're new here. It really means a lot. I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.